I'm so good at it. Day-to-day life, yes. I'm very slow doing everything. And hopeless to do most things according to my wife. No, I've tried acupuncture and I've tried a few things, but acupuncture didn't do much for me. And I do my own version of hydro, which I don't get a hydro ball. I get with Paul in a normal pool. And I think Paul's swimming's come on. Is that right, Paul? My carer. Let's just say Paul's swimming skills led a bit to be desired in the first time. As I do the swimming once a week, I look to once a week with the personal trainer because like a lot of people I'm not good at doing exercise. By myself, I prefer an audience.
Yeah, so Ian's my only special population client. Most of the guys who do PT with are there to supplement their training. Ian needs to do some kind of resistance training to maintain rather than deteriorate with his condition. So I get him in an hour every week and we just go through some movements, just trying to get him working on some strength and some mobility exercises.
So I'm working with Ian to help him improve his physical function and to make his life easier to move around the house and get around places. I'm helping him trying to strengthen up specific areas relating to his core, his legs and his arms to try and make life a little bit easier for him with this condition.
Exercise is the key to a lot. I think if I'm going well, it's due to my previous fitness and I started probably ahead of the game compared to other people. I'm always, I think, with the knowledge I have, fight against being too bent and shaking. And I remember once when I was still working, my arm stopped swinging automatically when I walked, so I just made a conscious effort to swing my arms when they stopped their reflex.
So what Ian has a little trouble with is he has more difficulty trying to access movement that he can think of. So when he tries to move the way he wants to, it doesn't come out the way he wants it to, as smooth and coordinated movement. So he does present with some tremors and weaknesses that are related to the condition, and also because of the fact that it's so difficult to move some of the time. He'll get periods where he can't always find movement easily, other times it's just impossible. We really need to try and to find these windows of opportunity to try and really help him gain strengthening opportunities and find ways to maximize his quality of life physically.
With the program, what I did was I just thought basic movement patterns. So we're big, the way we train, and we're looking at movement. For example, a squat, a hip hinge, something like a deadlift. So I had movement patterns that we should be doing, and that's what we do with our classes. So with Ian, the differences, apart from the obvious differences, but it's having to firstly work on the movements he can and can't do, and then also the ones that Keegan says he has to do that he might not want to do. So things like, we don't tend to do a lot of rotational things, whereas for Ian it's very important that he does some kind of rotational work. And then also minor things, such as he flexes his hands. He doesn't control that just happens, so we have to keep focusing on things like opening up his hands. So there's things like that in a normal class we wouldn't even look at. And the other thing is fatigue. So he gets more of a mental exhaustion rather than a physical. So in a normal class we're looking at guys where they're getting out of breath, and we might ask them a couple of questions to get their perceived rate of exertion or exhaustion. With Ian, he's going to normally tell you that he needs to have a rest. So it's very rare that he'll get out of breath first. It's more of a case of maybe his movement starts to deteriorate, which means that he's starting to get mentally fatigued, in which case he needs to recover and then have another go.
With multi-systems atrophy, it's a condition where the effects of it are not always apparent to people when you meet them eye to eye, and it might seem like they move a little bit slower, but a lot of the time that there are hidden sort of effects from the disease that do affect the person, such as their bladder and their bowels and their blood pressure regulation and all these things that happen internally. And a big part of it is also managing the level of fatigue associated with having to think, trying to access movement again, and all those things that make it very difficult for us to fully appreciate the extent of their disease. And I guess as health professionals, it's our duty to try and help people determine what areas that they can improve on, and also work out ways where we can try and help them improve their level of function for a longer period of time, even though it's a condition that is gradually making things worse. So I think that's an important consideration, is when, when we talk to people about this condition, that we understand it is going to happen for a very, very long time, and we don't have a cure for the disease. But I think we can do a lot in terms of supporting them, not just physically and from a health perspective, but also giving them all the emotional support and social support that we all need as human beings.
Obviously he finds it a challenge to speak, and it can be quite a challenge to understand what he's saying. But it's that realization that he's still sharp as a tack, and mentally he's working fine. He naturally isn't. He doesn't feel sorry for himself. It makes you appreciate what you have got, those basic things that we take for granted. I suppose something else is interesting. We just started rowing as well, so I found out that he's able to row, and he quite likes to row. So last week we did a 3-minute max row, and he seems to have carried that with him all week. And he came in this morning and said, right, I'm going to beat my distance last week. So we did 440 metres last week, and then he just smashed it. He said he wanted to do 500, he did 560 metres this week, I think. So little things like that where you realise, or maybe take for granted, but realise that those are things he's going to focus on. Those are things he wants to be better than he was last week, which is massive. And I suppose it's that realisation that those, what we might class as small things, is pretty huge for him. And to spend an hour with us wanting to accomplish something we might find quite small, but for him is a massive achievement. So it's a massive learning experience for me.
So I think Ian's a fantastic guy who's taken, MSA in his stride, in that he's really tried to forge ahead and live a life as full as he can. So I think, he's done a really good job in trying to find help as much as possible, but try and also maintain independence. So I've seen him a few times where, we try and help him get up and off the bed, and he's really quite keen on doing lots of things for himself, engaging in a home exercise program, and, obviously coming in here where he can, receive help from a personal trainer to help motivate him and take him to the next level. So I think he's just a fantastic guy, and he's truly an inspiration for both myself and my patients as well.